All right, we are back with the ET48 2.0 Tekno ET48 build. This is going to be bag J, which is installing the rack and front end on the chassis. And I will tell you up front that I'm not particularly fond of how Tekno tells you to put this together. And so I'm going to do this a little bit different than the manual. This is just my preference. You guys can follow the manual if you would like. I just do not care for it. I like to install the steering posts on the chassis first. Let's get over here. And you can see these things will drop down in that recess. And just make sure that you get them in there. There's that one. There's a bunch of different length screws, and especially this 3mm flathead variety. And these ones happen to be the shortest in the bag, so don't get that confused as well. And make sure you put the right end on the chassis. It's this end that has these little flat spots on them. Alright, so we get those both in there like so. The next thing I like to do is put on the chassis brace, which goes right here. And so I do that next, and those are the next largest, so these two screws here, hold that on. Once I get it started, I just like to hold everything up. So I'm going to start the other one, and then we'll make sure those screws are actually... Sorry, it's a little hard to get this in camera the whole time and actually be able to do it. Much easier to hold all this. Oh, come on. I'm not trying to be on camera. Let's do it like this. There we go. So let's get these started, and then make sure they are straight, which that one was not. This one also was not, so let's fix that one. This one just a little bit. Okay, and then we can drive these guys down. always like to torque by hand. Okay, so we get that on there. Okay, so the next thing I like to do after I get these posts and the brace on is we'll put this front end on the buggy. And let me try to actually get this on camera. So you'll come in here and get these holes lined up. And so there's two size screws. The longer screws go in the front and the shorter screws, these ones go in the back. And then there's even these little smaller ones that you're gonna stick in as well. So let's get those started. Try to keep everything lined up. And before you tighten these front ones down, we're going to want to go put that bumper in that I talked about. Okay, these ones are actually nice. There's enough dropping through to really help you line these up properly. So these front ones, I'm going to screw them down almost until they're fully tight. Then I'm going to come back and install this bumper. I'm going to take this thing out with the power tools. So we'll put this bumper on. All right, so putting on this bumper, you see these little tabs down here. Those are going to actually key into the chassis. And so you kind of push it onto the chassis there, and then you should be able, to get that screw. Let me look at that thing. It's not cooperating. I think what I'm going to do is tighten these down all the way now. I got that bumper on. Should really help to align that hole. Yeah, I think it's good now. Let's check that. Yep, that is all good now. So let's put this back in, verify. Torque. I'm just gonna back these off just a tad now, just to give this bumper a chance to fully seat. Then put them back in. Okay. Now you can see that I got these in slightly crooked, so we're gonna fix that. check it from the front view here. Alright, that looks good. We'll drive these in. Oh, let's get some more torque. Running out of juice in that. So crank those down. And then the final thing here is we put these smaller screws in right here. And if for whatever reason they don't line up, you might have to loosen these 4 screws back up and get these things to line up. Just gonna check that these are going in straight. All right. We use the power to put these in now. Okay. Check the torque here by hand. Alright, so now we got the front end of the buggy on, and we're going to bring this rack back in, put these bearings in the rack that we set aside, and oh, that's why they have you do it this way on the truck. These posts are in the way. Alright, so in this case, you know, Tekno had a rhyme or reason why they wanted you to build the rack. I don't like doing it that way. I find it hard to get the posts in correctly. So I just removed the body mounts because the body mounts were in the way of this rack going in. I'm actually just going to wait to put the body mounts on now until after I put this plate on. There we go. So yeah, you might have to flex it a little bit to get everything to line up, but we got those in. Now we can put the top screws in. It looks like they're all the smaller one. So these here, and these ones in the back or the front, you're just gonna install in there. And then the back ones, these ones here, you're gonna use a little bit of thread lock since they're going into aluminum. And I just like to do a little bit on the tip so we don't get them in the bearings. And these should go right in. If they're not going in smooth and you're having to force them, you got something wrong, something crooked. Yeah, just on the tip there. And then the longer screw goes right here into the chassis brace. And no thread lock because you're going into plastic. And then we'll check these screws. Torque. Okay, and then finally you just want to make sure this is all spinning freely, which it is, so that's good. Alright, so then yeah, the next thing is we'll put these body mounts back on that I took off, like so. Yeah, these don't have to be super tight, just nice and snug so things don't move around. Okay, so then the final thing here is putting in this rack. And again, there's a bunch of washers that you can use. So this goes in through the bottom and it keys into, and then the kit setup is 4 washers again, just like the rack, and I'm going to use the same 4. Stick that on, and then we get this nut on. The thing about it being keyed on the bottom is you just need one nut driver, as long as you hold that in with your finger. Anyway, that concludes bag J, and I hope you guys found this useful, and if you did, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for tuning in.